Today we're going to be making a cute gift card tag to hang on your tree. We're going to be using the penguin mug die set, the tag accessory die set. I'm going to use the For You sentiment and the little gift card holder. And we're also going to be using the stitched scalloped rectangle or slimline dies. I'm going to base my project off of the Pixi Dust Design card sketch for this month, and you will find that over in the Pixi Dust Designs VIP Facebook group. I'm going to cut this piece of shimmery white cardstock with the second to largest of the slimline scalloped dies, and I'm going to shrink it down to make it smaller to fit my tag, which is the same thing I did with the base of the tag. What you want to do is make sure that you line the top part up from what you already cut out, and you're going to lock it into place. The dies will just once you get it lined up, it just kind of locks into place. I secured it with a piece of tape, and I'm going to do partial die cutting. So I'm only going to place the cutting plate over my part I want to cut. And then when I cut that out, I will have the correct size layer for my tag. So we'll go ahead and set all this to the side. You can see I lined everything up right to the side. And I'm going to pull in my sticky mat, and I'm going to I've cut out the parts for the penguin mug die set, and we're going to add a little bit of ink blending to it so that it gives a little bit more extra to the card. So I'm going to take the little body of the penguin, the whipped cream, and we're going to get the marshmallows that the die cut out, and the straw, and the little hand for the penguins. So I'm going to start off with the whipped cream and the marshmallow, and I'm just chose a light cream color ink or light yellow ink for that, and I'm just going to add a little bit of shading to one side of each of those parts and pieces. That way it gives it a little bit more color than what we've had with just the cardstock, plus it gives it a little bit more shading and makes it look makes it look a little bit more realistic is what I want to say. All right, so for the little straw and the body of the penguin, I'm going to do the little hands and the penguin body first. I'm going to add just a little teal color to it so that it just has a little bit of shading around the outside edge. So we're just going to add that shading right around. And the die cuts everything out. It is a layering die set, but it's super easy to put together. I was very happy with how fast it went. For our little beak, I decided I cut everything from white cardstock that I could just to add ink blending because I didn't want to pull out colored cardstock. And that way, if you just cut it from white, you can just add your own custom colors to what you want it to be. Now, for the little pieces of the scarf and the straw or candy cane, I could not decide if it was a candy cane or a straw. It could be either one. I'm adding some just shading with a red ink to the areas that would be in shadow. For the coffee and the base pieces of the scarf, I cut it out of craft cardstock, and I'm going to add just a little bit of brown to the edges of it to add that shading in. And same thing with our coffee. I just chose a medium brown shade of ink to add that, and we're going to darken up our little coffee right there, or hot cocoa, whichever you want to do. I would say probably hot cocoa, since we're going to say this is a peppermint stick. So I went back and added shading to the white part of that, and we're going to layer everything up. So I've got my base pieces all cut out. I've cut it from black cardstock. I went ahead and pulled in a silicone mat that I could use to glue on. So I've got my base piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull in the white part of the body. And we're going to go ahead and add liquid glue behind that. I always like to pull in my back of the packaging so that I can see how everything is supposed to line up. Or not really line up, but how it looks once it's assembled. It kind of helps you, if you do that, it'll help you to know how to put everything together. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add our hot cocoa up at the top, and we're just going to line that up. And there is an etched line at the top, so you know where to line that up. And actually, it's not an etched line. It's actually a die cut line so that you can stick the peppermint stick or straw, whatever you want it to be, inside of your drink. All right, so we're going to continue on. I'm going to grab our next piece that we're going to do, and I'm going to add the beak first, and I'm just added liquid glue behind there. I'm going to take and line it up at that little point of the top of his body, the little divot or triangle, whatever comes down from the little heart looking shape. I'm going to line that point up together just like that. That way it makes it perfectly easy to line everything else up. So we're going to add our little cheeks. So I'm going to pick those up. I did, instead of ink blending those, I just colored those with a marker in the color pink that I wanted for his little cheeks. So it made it super easy to do that. That's what I love about the Pixi Dust Designs dies, is they're so customizable that you can ink blend or you can use markers however you want to do it. And they always have etched lines and super easy to put together. Even though they look a little complicated, they're actually really not. And there are some fine pieces, but just get a tray and stick them in that, and it's a lot easier to do. Now, I cut the white of the eyes out from that same shimmery white cardstock that I used for the base of the tag, or layering part of the tag. And so I cut that out from there. Now I'm going to add the black part over that. That's a layering piece. I'm just looking over at the packaging to make sure I have it lined up the correct way. And you're going to see just in a second, I turn it the wrong way on this eye over here, which is pretty typical. But I didn't stick it all the way down, so it was easy to move and get it lined back up in the right direction. So you could go either way. It's just I had one eye going one way and the other eye was going the other way, so I thought it was probably a bad idea to have them look like that. So I'm going to add the little eyebrows. I'm going to use my pickup tool for that, and I'm just going to pop those into place with a little liquid glue. And I lost that one, and I finally found it. It tried to run away. So we're going to go ahead and pop that on. I didn't have to cut another one, so we were all good. And we're going to go ahead and do our peppermint stick or straw, whichever you want it to be. I chose to make it a peppermint stick. So we're going to add the layering piece onto our base layer first. And I'm just adding little bits of liquid glue on those tiny spots and a little bit more on the rest of it. And if there is that little top angle, so you know how to angle it in there. So we just got that on. I'm going to press it into place, set it to the side. I'm going to go ahead and do my little scarf, the layering pieces for that. And these, I'm going to add tiny little dots of liquid glue on the back, just adding those tiny little bitty bits of dots of glue to make it super easy. I would suggest also, if you wanted to cut these layering pieces out from cardstock that was backed with adhesive sheet, that would be great. Or you could even run them through a Xyron machine if you have one of those and just make them into like a little sticker. That would be super easy too. So it's probably easier than adding the liquid glue, but I never think to do all that. I always think about it after we've made it and we're doing the voiceover of the video. So do as I say, not as I do kind of situation there. All right, for the top part of the scarf, the one that hangs over, we're going to go ahead and add liquid glue behind it as well. So we're just going to go ahead and pop on a little bit of liquid glue, and we're going to layer this piece together. I did take some of the glue off so it wouldn't squish out everywhere off on my hand. Now I can take and put this onto my little mug. Well, actually, we're going to do something else first. I'm going to go ahead and do the little parts of his little hands right there, the little white parts, because if not, I would have forgot them. So we went ahead and added those on, and it made it a little bit easier to do that first before adding the scarf. So that might be a little trick that y'all want to try if you're having trouble lining those up. Do the scarf first, and then, or do those little hands first, then do the scarf. So I just added that right below his little beak, and I'm going to add that top part right coming over because he's nice and bundled up. Now we've got our little whipped cream. We're going to add just a little bit of liquid glue behind that. I'm going to pop it up on the hot cocoa, letting some of that little hot cocoa show. And then I'm going to add glue on the front and a little bit on the back of my peppermint stick. And I'm going to take and push that little slit open and slide that into place. And that way I can adhere that onto our little project. And that makes our little penguin mug almost completely done. I'm going to add some of the marshmallows up at the top. And then it dawned on me as I was adding this that thin foam squares would have been an easier way to do it than the liquid glue. So I'm popping on some thin foam squares behind a couple of our little marshmallows. And I'm going to add, I added 2 at the top, and then I kept the other 3 to decorate the front of the tag with. So I've got my little marshmallows in there. We're going to set that to the side, and we're going to go ahead and layer up our tag. I've got my shimmery white cardstock that we have cut down with that scalloped slimline dies and made it to a custom size. I'm going to flip this around because I like the top better. So we're going to go ahead and we can add our little penguin mug. I'm going to add a thin foam tape behind it so that it has a little bit of lift. So I'm just going to pop those on there. I'm just cutting down bigger pieces to fit behind there. I'm going to cut down a little strip for the straw. Now, you totally could cut small strips for the handle. I'm not doing all that because I'm too lazy for that. This doesn't bother me. So I'm going to peel these backings off, and we will add a little bit of liquid glue on our foam tape so we can get this wiggled into place. So we're going to go ahead and pop that right down there. And you can see, compared to our sketch, it was very close to our sketch. So you can use your card sketches for way more than just the card design. You can use them for tags or anything else. So I added the foam squares. So I'm going to pop those marshmallows onto there. And that was so much easier than trying to glue them into place. So that would be my advice. Use some foam squares, pop them on. Give them a little bit of lift. There is the front of our little tag. Now we're going to work on the back. So I've got my pieces from the tag accessory die set. And this is the pocket. So it has the score lines. We're going to take and fold and burnish all of our score lines onto the back. So we're just going to take our bone folder, press them into place, and then I'm going to layer this decorative piece right here. This could be cut from cardstock or pattern paper or anything, or you could have stamped on the cardstock in tone on tone. I chose to just use the plain red. I'm going to take some red line tape, and I started out with the thinner, the 1/8 inch. And I decided that I could go to the 1/4 inch and be perfectly fine without it sticking everywhere. And it made it a little bit easier. So I went and grabbed that. And I'm going to put that 1/4 inch red line tape on. You could glue this with just liquid glue. But I like to have, since it's going to be a gift card and you're going to be pulling it in and out, I like to have that red line tape or tearing tape on there. Or score tape. Something a lot heavier duty than just glue. Plus it moves a little bit faster. So I'm going to peel all these little red line tape backings off and get them all over me. As you can see on my little finger over there, that stuff likes to stick everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and peel this one off, and I'm going to fold this little piece right there off, and the one little corner I need to push back on itself. I'm going to add just a little bit of liquid glue so that I have a little bit of wiggle room to make sure I get that lined up perfectly. I'm going to pop my gift card pocket on there, and then I can work on the sentiment. There is our little gift card pocket. It does fit a gift card. I couldn't find my gift card at the time, so I'm just going to show you I've got this little credit card thing that I can stick in there. But we're going to add the sentiment. We're going to start off with the 4, and I'm going to add little bitty dots of liquid glue behind our little thin scripty sentiment. Let's say in this set they have love, hello, thanks, and for you. So it's perfect for any occasion. And then there's also a to and a from that you can add on to this. So we're going to add the you. I left those little curly cues on there, but I'm going to trim those off to the edge of our pocket to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to take and just trim that to about right in there. And then we'll do the other side right over here to match. And then I will move that out of the way. Now I'm going to go grab some ribbon, and that way I can decorate the top. Well, I'm going to grab that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and punch a hole with my crocodile so that I can run the ribbon through there. Oh, I did grab the ribbon before I did that. I couldn't remember. I'm just going to double the ribbon up into like a slip. I like to do them as a slip knot. We just make the little loop over halfway, stick the other ends through, and then pull it taut. That way everything's nice and locked in there, and you don't have to fuss with a bow or any of that. It's just all nice and pretty as long as you pull it nice and tight. That's how I like to do these. So that's what I did. I'm going to trim these edges off. And if I could cut straight on the day that I filmed this, it would have been a miracle because I could not. So now we're going to add our finishing touches. I'm going to take a Posca extra fine paint marker in white and add my little highlights on my candy cane, the whipped cream, the mug, and our little marshmallows as well. We're going to add a few little highlights here and there. We're going to add them right here around the bottom because, you know, Rick loves his highlights. We're going to add those little marshmallows and a few on our little scarf to make it stand out a little bit better, and a little bit on the beak and a little bit in his little eye right there. And on this little side and right there, and we're all done. Now we're going to add a little bit of sparkle. I'm going to take my Stardust stickles and I'm going to add just a line on the side that I had the ink blending on. I'm going to take my finger and kind of move it around and smoosh it out to add just a little bit of sparkle, like, I guess like they're sugared marshmallows is what we're doing now. We're going to make some glistening marshmallows like they got sugar on them. All right, there's a look at our tag. I hope that you enjoy this product. I have everything linked and listed in the video description below. There's a closer look at our tag. There's a look at our little gift card pocket. So as you can see, there is our little cute little project that we've made together today. I have everything, again, linked and listed in the video description. I hope that you go and pick those up. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Stay crafty. Love you.